agriculture is often criticised for its ageing demographics, with producers and industry suppliers often characterised as old and cranky. Another problem is the apparent perception that young people are disconnected from food and fibre production and agribusiness generally. The Digital Farm headed for Werrali in northeast Victoria last week to talk to some of agriculture's switched-on up-and-comers. Be prepared for a more enlightened point of view when you meet the Victorian Farmers Federation's clear-thinking and articulate Generation F.
So tonight was one of our Generation F events, so Generation Food and Fibre. It's an event where we're going around all of Victoria. We've got 13 events in total. Tonight was our third event, organised it here in Werrali. It's an event where young farmers, young agribusiness professionals or people interested in agriculture have a chance to have their say, have their issues heard, where we will take that back to government and hopefully persuade them to make it easier for young people in agriculture.
So the Yaps are an initiative of the Victorian Farmers Federation, and we're one of the policy groups there. So we're a committee of the VFF, and we work with the 18 to 35-year-old division within that. So we focus mainly on students, farmers, people in agribusiness in the 18 to 35-year-old bracket. But with the education issue, we're obviously beginning to focus more on the earlier stages of that.
Well, I think it's probably a difficult area where I'm trying to farm here, just given the land values compared to the agricultural return you can make out of it, make it very difficult cash flow wise. Obviously the capital value, that's where the main return is over time, but given you're trying to expand your operation, that's not really realised. So in terms of cash flow, it makes it a bit difficult probably. That's where I think the off-farm income is required, at least in the short term, until I can sort of get to a critical mass. But long term, you know, I think agriculture has a good future, but it's not exactly a lucrative industry to be in at this moment in time, I don't believe. But if you're smart about it, I think you can make a good income off it.
I think a lot of young people that are interested in farming, that families still got the farm, that sort of thing, I think a lot of them are still still staying on the land, but it's ones that through the hardship of droughts and that sort of thing, which, yeah, we do have. A lot of people are sort of forced off the land, not to their choice, of course, but they do lose the land, and then to get back into it, it's just very expensive. The price of land these days is astronomical in most places, especially in a good producing area like around where we are, around Everton, that sort of thing. Decent rainfall, that sort of thing, good quality soils. It's hard to buy land in that sort of place. Both, a lot of people don't want to sell it, and just the price of it's just through the roof.
So my grandparents used to have a Murray Grey stud, and my grandparents actually went into earth moving eventually, and as did my dad. So although we were brought up on a farm, we kind of deviated into the earth moving business, but always had some cattle as well. My nana also had a Limousin farm just down the road here in Werrali for quite some time before retiring. So I guess I was always brought up on the land, and I guess being in an area where there's such a rich tourism offering, I was drawn to that particular industry. So I kind of deviated a little bit, and I've gone into the tourism sector. So I spent some time working in some local wineries before moving to Melbourne and setting up a marketing department for a completely different industry, interior fit outs, and then crossed the bay to Geelong and worked for the regional tourism body as a specialised unit part of council in the tourism sector. My husband and I then moved back about a year ago, and we now have started a little bit of an enterprise in square metre cattle, which not many people have heard of. They're actually a derivative of Murray Greys, but they've got lower birth weights, mature a lot quicker, and are much better on the land as well. They don't actually require as much feed in droughts or whatever it might be. So we've started up a little bit of a cattle enterprise in the last 12 months, and that's pretty much my journey through. So there's always been touch points along the way with the ag industry, I suppose.
I've just started in the position of School Outreach Coordinator for Charles State University, based at their new campus in Wangaratta. So it's a partnership with Goulburn Ovens TAFE and we're busy setting up a really strong pathway for schools. So I'll be working with schools to get a really strong pathway going that articulates going from school through to TAFE, through to university, and ending up in agricultural qualifications all the way. So we're trying to encourage kids to go into agriculture, to develop an interest in agriculture, and also to develop an interest in going to university when they hadn't otherwise thought of themselves as that would be something that they would do.
Well, we're having around 13 so far, and this is the third one out of them. Everyone's really had something a little bit different depending on the area. So the first one was in St Arnaud, and that was really just trying to get a sense of, you know, the broader picture, really. And so a lot of that was about the image of agriculture and what the issues around that are and how we can try to change it. The second one that we had was in Horsham, and that was quite career focused. So what we found was that a lot of people are really, really passionate about the industry, but they want to find out how to take their career to the next step. So again, things like careers days and finding out what opportunities are out there for them was quite a key point of that one. And I think today we had a bit of a mixed bag. We had more farmers in the room, whereas before we've had a lot of agribusiness or students. And so again, it changed a little bit today, and we had a lot of discussions just in regards to succession planning, things like that.